Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be going over how to add, edit, and manage the products in your Shopify store. So we're starting off in the admin section of your Shopify website, and we're going to click on the products tab. So when we click on the products tab, we get into the products overview. So here you can see some data about the active listings on your store. So going from left to right, we see the names of the products and a little thumbnail of the featured image. We can see whether they are active, draft, or archive products. We get a brief idea of the inventory that's available for the products. We see what sales channel they're available on. And if you're selling in multiple markets, you can see which markets the products are available on. You'll see which catalogs they are a part of if you are on Shopify Plus. You can take a look and see what category they're added to, the product type that's assigned to them, and the vendor that the product is assigned to. So from here, you can search for products, specific products by clicking this search icon. You have some quick filter options over here, so you can filter by product vendor. You can filter for products with specific tags. You can filter by product status, or you can build out your own filters. So we can filter by all these items over here. So if we wanted to, let's say, filter by sales channel, and we only want items that are available on the online store, we can choose that filter over here. And you can also save these filters for the future. So if, let's say, you wanted online store items to be an available filter, you can just click Save As, give it a name, and now your filter will appear over here at the top, and you can toggle that at any time, and you can go ahead and remove it if you are no longer using it. Now, you can edit the products in bulk if you have multiple products on your store that you want to edit at one time. So if you wanted to edit product information, you can select your products one by one by clicking these checkboxes, or you can select all the items in your store by first clicking one box and then clicking this option over here that says select all in this store, and that will select all of the items throughout the store. So you have some bulk options that you can apply over here. So you can bulk archive products, include or exclude sales channels. So if these items, let's say, weren't available on your online store and you wanted to make sure they were all available on the online store, you can select that and click include. Same for exclude. You can do the same thing for markets for whether or not they're included in catalogs. You can bulk add tags. So you can click add tags, and if you have a tag that you've already added, you could just select it here, or you can type it in and add it that way. You can also bulk remove tags, and you can also change the status of these items, or you can bulk add them to collections. Now, if you want to use the bulk editor on Shopify, you can click this bulk edit option, and then this will bring up a new screen where you can go ahead and bulk edit all these things at one time. Now you can toggle what it is you want to edit over here under columns. So by default, it just selects these few items over here, but now you have all these products selected. So if you wanted to bulk edit the description or bulk edit the product types, you can go ahead and toggle anything you want over here, and you can go ahead and edit them. So if we wanted to add a category here and a category here, we can do that. And we can also copy and paste the values in bulk. So if, let's say, we selected event tickets over here, you can go ahead and drag and drop and bulk copy and paste these values. So if I wanted to add event tickets as the category for all these items, I can bulk drag and drop them down here, and now those changes are made. Just make sure to click save after you're done making those changes. So now that you know how to bulk edit products, we'll go ahead and edit a product individually. So these are all listings that are already created. So we'll click into one listing and show you what it looks like. So from the top down, we have the product title, the product description. The product description works just like any other word editor does. So you can format the text, you can add images. Here you have your media for your listings. So you can go ahead and upload new photos, or you can upload existing photos. So if, let's say, we added these three, these were already added to our store previously. Now we have the images over here, and we can drag and drop them in whatever order we like. So the first image in this media gallery is the featured image for this listing. So this is the image that represents the listing on Google when you share the product on social media or throughout the site where you're just seeing one image of the product. This is the image that represents it. So you want to make sure that your featured image is always at the front line. And continuing down, we have the product category. So this category is not the same as adding the product to a collection. This is a category that's more used for things like Google categorization or your tax categories. So these are predefined categories that you're choosing from. You always want to try and be as accurate as you can because the quality of your product listing is important. So maintaining these categories is a great way to make sure that Google's up to date with your product information. So you can go ahead and select the category over here. I also wanted to mention that if you wanted to remove images from your listing, you can click these boxes over here in the corner and click remove, and you can remove those images. Now, variants, I'm going to come back to in a minute, but variations are essentially the product options that you have to choose from. So when you're creating a listing, if you have no variants, it is what's called a simple product. So you put up a simple product, there's only one option, you click add to cart and you check out, and that is a simple product. On the flip side, you can have where you have different combinations of options that you can choose from when checking out on the store. So variants are your way of setting up these variable products, but I'll come back to that in a minute. Continuing down, you have the meta fields, which are special types of data that are really more used in development, but you can assign specialized information to a product listing that you can use throughout the design of your site. And these can be whatever you want them to be. So you can create specialized fields for things like colors, materials, sizes, and use that data in a variety of different ways with the use of development skills. Now, down here, you have your search engine preview where you can edit the URL of the product and also edit the meta title and the meta description. So this information is what search engines see when it detects your product and shows your listing on something like Google, and you can control that down here. So the product title or the product URL is automatically generated based off of the product title, and you can see what the full URL looks like here, but you can go ahead and change that by clicking the edit button and going down here and changing the text that's down here. So it doesn't allow you to change anything before the word products. So you can only change what comes after products, which is this accessory 600 clear tape for this product. And you can change this to whatever you want. So if, let's say, we change this to just tape, it'll also give you the option to automatically create a URL redirect. So that means that if someone tries to go to the old URL, they'll automatically be moved to the new URL. So usually it's good to keep this enabled unless you have a particular reason to disable it. It's always good for your site's navigation to make sure that you have these URL redirects set up. And you can also go ahead and change the title of the listing and the description over here to whatever it is you feel would be best on Google. So if, let's say, we wanted to change this to clear tape and we change this to buy our clear tape, you can see it being updated in real time. So if you don't manually update these, Google will automatically pull this from your product title and your product description. So continuing on the right side, We have the status of the product. So the status can either be active or draft. So if an item is in draft, it's going to not appear on the front end of your website. So only active products will appear on the site. So you want to make sure that when a product is ready to be shown, that it's set as active. But if you want to work on the listing and not have it show in real time on the website, you can set that as draft. Now, over here, you can control your publishing channels. So when you have sales channels connected to your online store, you can control which channels the product is available for sale. So for example, if you have your online store, which is your Shopify site, as one sales channel, and you also sell on other channels like Amazon, Walmart, Target, you can control over here whether certain items are available on specific channels or not. So you can control that by clicking these three dots over here and clicking Manage Sales Channels, and you can toggle the sales channels that are available over here. You can also do the same for your markets. So markets is something that comes into play when you're selling internationally, so you can control your markets the same way. And you can also control your catalogs. So if you have B2B catalogs and you're on a Shopify Plus plan, you can control that over here as well. Your Insights tab is going to be available once the product starts being shown on the front end of your website. But for now, this is a development store, so we don't have that insight available here. And continuing down, now we have the product organization section. So your product type is an internal product type. So this you can use for internally organizing your products. So if, let's say, we just wanted to categorize this as tape, or we can even do accessories. This is just for internal organization. Your vendor is the brand that is selling the product. So if you're selling branded goods, let's say you're selling shoes by Nike, the vendor would be assigned as Nike. It's good to have vendors assigned when you can, because this helps you create specialized product categories and allow you to do a number of different things like offering better navigation and filter options when you're providing the proper information. Your collections are your front end website categories. So collections is what Shopify calls a category. And there are two types of collections that you can offer. One is called an automated collection, and one is called a manual collection. We have a separate video going over collections in more detail. But in this case, you can select a collection only if it's a manual collection. If it's an automated collection, it's not going to appear in this dropdown, and your product listing has to match the rules of the collection in order for it to get added. Then continuing down, we have your product tags. Your product tags are used for a variety of different things throughout your website. Things like product filters, product organization, populating categories, and your product tags can literally be whatever you want them to be. So you can add tags like tape. In this case, we'll add tape, we'll add accessories, and these can be used later on for a number of different things. You can go ahead and remove tags by clicking this little X button. And then finally down here, you have the theme template. So by default, if you are not a developer, I don't suggest adjusting this. This controls the layout of your product page. Sometimes certain stores have different types of layouts that they can toggle with this dropdown. But if you have one default product template, I do not recommend changing this, and usually the default is fine. And you can choose this little eye icon to see what the product page looks like when it's completed. So here it shows us in the customization section what our product page looks like. Now, returning to the variants. So when you create and add your variants, you're first adding the different options, the different types of options that you have to choose from. So in this case, we have size and we have color. So we want customers to be able to choose a size from a dropdown and a color from a dropdown. So when you're adding a variation, it kind of looks like this. So you can add an additional option over here. So this is an example of a product that already has variants assigned, and we're going to be adding another. So we have size, we have color. Let's say, for example, we wanted to add material, and we wanted to, let's say, fabric, and we wanted to add silk. I know that this isn't really relevant to this product listing, but just to show the example. So we have two options over here. We can continue adding more, but we'll just leave it to these two. And then for every one of the different possible combinations between these variants, Shopify is going to create a combo down here. So if we click save, we refresh this page. So the variations, you can control how they're grouped together, either grouped together by size, by color, by material. So this helps you more easily update the variation options. So in this case, for this example, we have the sizes broken down over here, and these little drop downs show you the different color options that are available. So we have this 1.5 by 36 yards. And if someone chooses that, it can either come in clear fabric or clear silk. So these are the two variation options available when you're choosing this size option. So now we can go ahead and adjust and edit these individual variants. So if you want to bulk edit these variants, you can select them over here, click bulk edit, and you'll get access to the bulk editor just like we showed on the last page. But we can also go ahead and individually edit these variants. So we can change things like pricing, inventory numbers per each individual option. So here are the variations we have available right now. So we're going to click on the first one, which is this 1.5 by 36 yards is the size. It's clear tape and the fabric material. So we can adjust the options over here. If you want to add a variation image, you can add that here as well. So what a variation image does is that when an image is, or rather when an option is selected, so when you're on the front end of the website and you select this combination of options, the image that's going to show is this assigned image. So if you have a product that's in multiple colors, for example, and when someone chooses the red option, you want the red option image to show, you can assign that image over here so that when someone selects the red option, that will be the one that shows. So we have our variation option assigned over here. We can adjust the pricing over here. So if we, for example, say this is $50, we can assign that here. So there's two options for pricing. There's the price and there's the compare at price. So the compare at price is used to show when there is a discount on an item. So if you've ever been shopping on a website and you see that slash through on the price and the website says this is the actual sale price, that's what compare at price is supposed to be. So if, let's say, we made this $80 and this price is $50, the way that it's going to appear on the website is that this 80 is going to have a slash through, and then it's going to show the $50 next to it. So whatever is in this price box always ends up being what the customer ends up paying. So if you're ever going to use the compare at price feature, this should always be more than the actual price. Otherwise, it's not going to display properly on the website. But the option is there if you need it. You also have the option on whether or not to disable or enable taxes on this product. And you can also add in the cost per item down here. So this is good for your reporting and your internal revenue reports. So if you add your cost over here, it can help calculate your profit and margin per sale. Down here you have your inventory, and you can choose where you're keeping this inventory stocked. So we have another video that goes over the specifics of inventory where we'll go over this in more detail, but you have your locations over here. And if you're not tracking inventory, this doesn't really matter. This is more if you're tracking individual quantities across different warehouses. So you can either say that this item is being stocked at one location, or you can stock it in multiple locations and keep track of the quantity down here for how much is available in each warehouse. You can also choose to sell this option when it's out of stock and allow the item to be put on back order. Here you have your SKU and your barcode. So these are internal numbers that help you with organization. There are some people that also like to share the SKU numbers on the front end of the website to help customers better easily find what they're looking for on the site. So keeping a SKU and keeping a barcode are pretty important for store organization. And then finally, you have the shipping information. So here you want to put in the weight of the product, and this is going to be help. This is going to help with calculated shipping if you are using calculated shipping at checkout. Shopify is going to use this weight to help quote your customers for how much they should be charged shipping when checking out. You can also add some customs information here. You can add where the country of origin is, and if you have an HS code, you can add it here as well. And once you're done, you're going to click, and now you'll see that our variation image was added for this option. If you want to assign variation images, you can edit those over here as well. So if, for example, I wanted to assign a variation image to the clear silk for this product, I can do that right here as well and click on the variation image. So now you'll see that for this, you'll see these first two options. Let's take a look. So we have this image, and if we change it, now it switches to this image. So the variation images are set up properly. You can change the pricing over here very easily. So you can click this drop down and change the price per variation, or you can change it on the top level and have both of these options be updated based off of this price. So if, let's say, I made this 100, now both of these are 100, or I can adjust them individually. So you can play around with these grouping options based off of what's easier for you in your store and how you want to update them. So if I'm grouping by color, there's one color, and now all the size and material options are underneath. If I group by material, now it's broken down 5 and 5 based off of there are 5 options here and one here. So now we have this combination. So whichever is easier for you to do with these groupings, you can play around with them. And finally, up here, you have the option to duplicate a listing. So if you want to create a new listing based off of this and swap out some information, you can duplicate that here. It'll give you the option to give the new item a name, and you have the option to not carry over or carry over the images, the SKU numbers, the inventory, all that you can carry over with the duplication, or you can choose not to include that when you're duplicating the listing. And when you do duplicate it, you have the option to set it as a draft when it's created or set it as active. So at any time, you can click this view option up here to see what your listing looks like on the front end of your website. You also have the sharing options. If you want to share a link to your listing, you can copy and paste it, and that will get access to the front end listing of the website. You will have some more actions down here. These are really based off of the apps that you have installed on your store. So if you have certain apps and they interact with your listings, those options will appear here. And then finally, you have the option of whether or not to delete your product or archive your product. So when you archive your product, the listing is still recoverable. So if you're getting rid of a listing, but you think there's a chance that you might be reusing it one day, you can archive it and then unarchive it when you're done. Or you can just delete the product, which is not recoverable at the end of the day. But ultimately, all in all, that's how you manage, edit, add, and remove your products. And one last bit, if you're adding a brand new product from scratch, you can click this add product. All the fields that we discussed are the same as we went through the populated listing. The only thing different here is that the variations are not going to appear until you save the listing. So if we did our variations here, so we'll do size and we'll do color. So now the options will show over here, and once we save, they'll appear properly. But Outside of that, all the fields are essentially the same, and the same ideas that we discussed for the existing listing would also apply for the new listing. And if you have any further questions, you can always reach out to us at bluesoftdesign.com.